Welcome to the Straight Up, No Bullshit, The Don Handston Show. Our hosts are going to push the limits, but create an environment where it's safe to uncover the crap that holds you back so you can survive the mediocrity of today's life. And they'll be admitting and revealing their own experiences so you can learn the skills and attitude you need to be who you are. No bullshit. Warning to all listeners: if you have thin skin and get offended easily by harsh, direct, or somewhat offensive content and language, then this podcast may be overwhelming. However, we believe pulling your blinders off and viewing things from a real perspective may feel invigorating and may be the very thing that may cause you to expand your capabilities exponentially. Now here's your hosts, Don and Markus.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Straight Up No Bullshit. We are so glad you're here. Hey, Don, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful.
I'm excited because guess what? We are celebrating. Today is our 20th episode. We're excited.
Wow.
We've gotten this far. We've worked our way through all of the technical bullshit and all the issues that we did figuring this stuff out. And we're excited. And we have an amazing special guest here today, Kevin Purcell. He's a musician who has seamlessly blended the gritty sounds of Chicago blues with the soulful vibes of Southern rock. Kevin has been performing professionally for over 30 years, and his newest project, Rose Hill Revival, is gaining attention as the ultimate Allman Brothers Experience across the country. But Kevin is more than just a musician. He's always been about holistic health and environment and being an environmental advocate who used to hold what we consider moderate to liberal views, and his eyes have been opened to the abusive relationship with our government. He's a patriotic constitutionalist, which we'll talk about there in a little bit. So today we'll explore what drives a musician with these kinds of beliefs and how that shapes his music and message. We're also going to dive into the dangerous territory of censorship and discuss its implications as it has on our society. Plus, we will take a look at the bright future that really is ahead of us during these crazy times as we head towards more and more people awakening to the truth. So this thought-provoking, entertaining discussion about music, truth, and freedom with our special guest, Kevin Purcell. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Glad to be here. With these true truth-telling hosts here. Yeah, that's good. Did I say tooth? I meant truth. Truth-telling.
I still got all.
I got most of them. Exactly. That's awesome. So let's dive right into this real quick. Tell us about your journey as a musician. What drives you to continue performing professionally for over 30 years?
Well, it is, for music, it is 100% I see music as most definitely a healing force. There have been several times when I've thought about doing something else, but now I just can't imagine my life without music, because music, I've gotten this, we've been around a little bit. We won the thing down. We were one of the finalists down in the thing in Memphis, which is an international, contest. And we met people from all over the world. And these people all say the same thing, no matter what country they come from, no matter what language they speak. Music is the universal language. And, and since I do believe in frequencies and crazy magical things like that, I do believe that the frequencies of music do heal people in a lot of different ways, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically. I was going through a thing not 5 or 6 years ago. My father got dementia. And so me and my siblings were looking into the things that help with dementia. And sure enough, what was it that was bringing a lot of these people back, starting the neurons and the brain synapses? Music. The music they grew up with, they'd start playing with them, and these people came alive. They were vegetables until they heard some of the music that they grew up with, and they became alive again. Now, that's going to be a problem when the people that grew up in the music from the 80s, when they get dementia, they probably won't come alive. They'll probably stay zombies. But others.
Hey, wait a minute here. Don't be knocking 80s music. Hey, some might say 80s is the decade that made us. Come on. This is a long-standing rivalry between us.
I had to get one in there.
Kevin knows how much I love 80s music.
Have a bite of my Vegemite sandwich.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. It. Hey, men at work, you got to love Mark Kupfer. That's awesome. I will say this though. I was able to drag Kevin to an 80s concert. I think it was Wang Chung and Eddie Money and Naked Eyes and Tommy Two Tone. And hey, you liked it. You had a good
It was
time,
good.
right?
I am just totally kidding. They were actually Wang Chung. I don't like that song, but they blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
They wailed on that song. It was almost like seeing, it was like Foghat does Wang Chung tonight. It was unbelievable. And they are really good players.
Right.
But the 80s was a special time when they were throwing in a lot of synthesizers and
it was, it was transformation. It was trying new things. I mean, think about all the different genres that came out of the 80s, and it didn't just come out of the 80s. I think the 80s, they bloomed in the 80s. You got ska, you got reggae, you got, punk, you've got, new wave, you've got, classic rock, hard rock, metal rock. I mean, big hair rock,
I actually
ballads
think
of all kinds.
I actually think the 90s was probably some of the worst time for music. Everything ended.
The grunge. Well, yeah,
there was grunge rock, and that was about it. And then all of the anybody that, and now because of the 70s and the 80s were the greatest time.
Absolutely.
After that, it started, and now it's so corporate. God, have you heard some of these stories of people that are like, look what's happening to P. Diddy right now. How many other like huge musicians are involved in that stuff? I don't have anything against Taylor Swift, but how does somebody become that huge?
Right.
What is she? She's got. You can't tell me that there aren't at least 100 other musical acts in the United States that are easily as good or better than Taylor Swift, and yet she is taking over everything. That takes help. That takes money.
Yeah, they're probably not as politically connected.
Well, what about in other countries? What about in other countries? It's not.
I don't really know, but I agree with you. And as far as music goes, I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. My entertainment is music. Okay, so this is right up my alley now too. And I'll tell you, when I get off and I want to do something, one of my biggest genres, okay, is reggae music. And the reason why I like reggae music is because it started way back in the 50s, okay, and it was all about message. And these people were getting their balls kicked in and every day, okay, and these people were positive. And they talk about the Rasta man and all the stuff that had happened, but they really dig deep when they start singing about this stuff. And when I put that stuff on, I think about these people that had horrible times, and yet they were positive, and they were speaking about things that were happening to them and things that they're trying to unenslave themselves. And I mean, it's a very positive message. On top of it's got a nice beat to it too. But since I have not been watching TV, I like the message, and I listen to a lot more of the vocals in the music, and I really get into it. Like even some of the older rock music I'm listening to that I never really listened to before, and I listen to the words, and I can't believe the amount of message that's in the music.
Without a doubt.
That makes me think of a great idea. If they would just, what if there was a news show where they just sang it all to you with reggae rhythms? Boom.
There you go.
You can learn everything about what's going on while jamming.
Exactly.
There you go.
And the Brits can do it in their ska version. So there you go.
Yeah, right. That's interesting you say that, Don, because that is the reason that I got in. Once I started digging the blues, and playing harmonica and stuff, I started to realize that the message, because when you first start listening to blues, and it is the same with reggae, but reggae did start with a very distinct message because of what they were going through. The blues, not so much, because they were trying to not cause too much, problem, right? They didn't want to have too much attention. And a lot of their songs are basic stuff about love or cheating or things like that. But what I think is the amazing message of the blues, especially back when they were writing these songs in the 20s and the 30s and 40s, they were writing about bad stuff too, alcoholism and whatnot. But the basic message is how amazing these guys still found love and life and celebration in a time when there really wasn't much to love, life, and celebrate about, because they were in bad shape. I don't want to go into the whole thing about slavery and stuff, but it was not a great time for people of color, and they still found a way to celebrate. And I think that is the message that should be coming through the blues today, and reggae too, and a lot of music should encompass everything. But Absolutely. That's why I was partial to the blues, because the message they were given was, You survive it, you get through it, and you come out on the other side, and you still have a spirit, you still have a soul, you still have love in your heart. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
What's interesting about what you're saying, Kevin, is number one, in order to really get a message and more of like a spiritual type of message, you have to dig deep. And number two, it directly correlates to a lot of the podcasts that we've talked about, right? Like about positivity, right? How you got to be positive, about silver linings, about you can't hit the surface of the water until you hit rock bottom. Right. I mean, it's all got to be inspirational, and if you're inspired as a person that makes music, okay, then you share that inspiration, and hopefully, I'm sure your goal is to inspire others, just like mine and Markus's. We want to inspire others so we can create more thought out there, and really, what it boils down to is love, right? Because we did the love versus hate. It's all got to be about love. It's all got to be about knowing that it's not us that's creating, okay? And if you dig deep and you get your message out there, what you do can be so impactful and fun on top of it. So you're having a good time, and you're inspiring people, and you're putting out a message that helps people. So I think that's kudos to you.
And music, I just go back to frequency. Music is frequency. I mean, I literally have music playing probably 12 hours, 14 hours of the day, just because it's always in the background, because to me, that lifts me up. Those musical vibrations, they change you. They change the way you think. They change the way you feel. And it's so true. So
I think music has clearly, they've done enough studies. Music has taken people out of the depths of despair.
Yeah.
Out of the depths, even more so than people speaking, even more so than political movements. Music has taken, individuals and groups of people out of the depths of the darkest, despair. And the amount of things that I have received, the cards that I have received, the mail that I've received, the gifts that people have brought to shows to give to me, sometimes they bring a tear to my eye because of what they went through. And then they have in their card, they'll write, "I never would have made it through my fill in the blank if it wasn't for your band, following your band all these years." That's huge. That is huge. The power of that.
And music does change things. I remember, with my daughter, I read a book called The Mozart Effect on Children. And it was all about the frequencies and how much certain, like they already proven classical music is even a higher standard than a lot of the regular music that we listen to because of how mathematical and so forth. But Mozart music, because it is so mathematical, it really stimulates brain growth.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I used to play that with Molly before she was born, and even after she was born. And then you've got the whole thing about the singing revolution, which we talked about on one of our earlier podcasts, which was Estonia sang their way to freedom from the Iron Curtain of the Russian and the Soviet Union dominance that was going on in the early 90s. And they literally created a rope that went from all the way to the capital of Tallinn, which is in the capital of Estonia, Tallinn, all the way down through Latvia and Lithuania. I forget how many hundreds of miles that was, and the millions of people that were in this rope, and they sang their way to freedom. And so music is so powerful, and it's not a wonder. I mean, I've been to so many of your shows, and I know Don's been to some of your shows as well. Your music does uplift people and makes a huge difference in people's lives.
And I don't have anything to say about, like, there is music. There's music that's dark. I have nothing against Marilyn Manson, but boy, he sang about a lot of just god awful stuff. But I guess you got to have that too. And to some extent, I'd be willing to bet that even the awful stuff that guys like them sing about, it lifts somebody out of something. Hopefully not in the wrong way, but
well, that's true.
But music is energy. Music is energy. Frequencies are energy. The whole thing, it all works. You can use it both ways. You can use it for bad things. You can use it for good things.
Well, Markus talks about this all the time because we're kind of yin and yang. You can't have good without the bad, right? You can't have
up without down,
love without the hate, right? I mean, love it, so it's kind of like a yin and yang, but yet my theory is it doesn't matter what the perspective is. There's always a silver lining to it. So,
Right.
like you said, it could seem like it's promoting hate or evil, but yet it's really not. It's promoting goodness in some way, shape, or fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think there needs to be more of that in terms of like, you know, the people that are trying to help the world, even like preachers and deacons but anybody that does uplifting stuff, you have to be, because one of the things you just made a great point on, which I think people need to know more of, because we are conditioned to think that it is not so. But no matter what it is that you're going through in life, and I've been through some, you know, and Markus knows 6 years ago, I went through some horrible stuff. No matter what happens in your life, there's something positive happening somewhere else. But if you don't know that, or if you don't think it, or if you don't believe it, you'll never see it.
Right.
You'll never see it. Every time a door closes, another one opens. But if you're not looking for doors, if you don't know what a door is because no one told you, you're not going to be seeing the silver lining that you're talking about. And it's so important.
So with doors, speaking of doors, your newest project, you've had the Nightburners for now over 30 years, but your newest project, Rosehill Revival, people describe it as the ultimate Allman Brothers experience. What inspired you to create that band, you know, a legendary band of the music of the Allman Brothers, and what do you hope to achieve from that?
Well, I am definitely inspired by the other guys in my band that are just as inspired by the Allman Brothers as I am. So I can't say that it was me that started it. There are other guys in the band that are very, very, very passionate about the Allman Brothers music, and Allman Brothers is such an incredible story. We could do a whole new podcast and do 2 hours of their story.
Sure.
But you know, in the 70s, at a certain time, there were many critics that called the Allman Brothers the best band in the world. You know, they were even better than the Beatles, you know, for a while there.
Okay.
And they also started a genre called Southern rock, which is just, you know, crazy to think of, you know, having to start a genre like that. You know, you got all these other genres you were talking about, like, you know, you know, ska and all that kind of stuff, and the guys that are at the top of that. But Southern rock has become part of the American culture. Southern rock is also pretty patriotic. You know,
absolutely.
The people that love Southern rock are people that love, you know, freedom and love America. And so they started that back in the 70s, and their music is incredible. It touches a lot of people. They were just regular guys. That's the thing that amazes me the most. They were just regular guys. They weren't trying to write music that was, you know, ethereal and deep and religious. They were just writing, you know, just things about their lives. But somehow they did it in such a way that touched so many people. And I think one of the inspirations for going ahead and putting a band together that celebrates their legacy and celebrates their music, which is intense, is the fact that you know, they're pretty much all gone now.
Yeah,
I think there's only one of the original guys left. The drummer J-Mo is pretty much the only guy left. God bless him. I hope he lasts as long as possible. Some of the other guys that have been in the Allman Brothers are now doing tributes to the Allman Brothers. If you know, there's a bass player. There's a bass player that played with Dickie Betts and the Allman Brothers for a short amount of time. Well, he has now got an Allman Brothers, you know, tribute band, which is, you know, fantastic. The more music that gets out there, the more of their music that gets out there. Because you know, it's so great to play. You know, and there's another thing too. It's so great to play real, honest to God, just, you know, just regular guy music where you actually have to be talented to play it. You know, the Allman Brothers did not need to get on stage with 400 dancers doing choreographed moves with a huge red castle behind them and flames on the side of the stage. They just didn't need to do it because that's not what they were about. And I'd be to going back to Taylor Swift. I would love to see her talent without all the crap around her. Right. How about just come out on stage with a band and sing? Boy, would that be something, like Bonnie Raitt used to do. Taylor Swift has got a voice, but her whole thing is just crap. It's a big cirque. It's like Cirque du Soleil without the genius.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Absence. Hey, so Well, you had mentioned something that made me think, and you talked about
Am I making you think again?
recognition.
Once again,
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often. Once in a while, the hamster jumps on the treadmill and generates some kind of power in there that doesn't usually happen.
So it's really the hamster thinking.
Anyway, so recognition in most folks' minds, okay, is success, right? Right. So everybody knows about it. That's success. But I always have the contrarian a mindset, and I think the regular guy that does what he loves and he inspires others is truly the successful guy, not the guy that does it so I can be recognized. So wow, look at me. Ooh, wow. It's the same thing in business and life, like the ooh, look at me kind of person. That everyone views that as a successful person. But I think the successful person is more of the regular guy, just living his life, inspiring others, trying to help other people. That's the successful guy. And so I think you are that guy. I think you're out there and you're trying to inspire people. You're doing what you love. You're trying to pass some good message, some positive feelings, some positive vibration. And I think, in my opinion, for what nobody has to agree with me, but in my opinion, that is success.
Well, I agree with your opinion, and again, you're on a roll, Don, because that's really important, and especially to me. I am disappointed at the age that I'm at right now, and all of the years that I spent thinking that I was going to tour the world and be on the coattails of whatever Allman Brothers or Stevie Ray Vaughan or something like that. I did grow disappointed with our perception, the average American's perception of what success is, because that's really the problem. Success is not about just like how well known you are and your fame and the amount of money you got. And so, and you see that when people use the Taylor Swift argument, you say, well, some critic says, well, it's just kind of, bubblegummy tripe. And they go, well, you're not as well. She's making billions and millions. Yeah. But for all we know, her life is horrible.
She could have sold her soul to the devil.
Yeah, or exactly. That, it's that like how many contracts has she signed where you heard the whole story about her having to buy, she finally got to a point where she was able to buy her entire her entire library back. I mean, the things that go on in that music. So it's a very good point that again needs to be spread more. Success, all the media has made us think that success is about money, and that's why you have so many journalists that are willing to lie or say whatever's the narrative. They're sponsored by this company or that company, and they'll say whatever they have to say, because to them, success is not about them being a real person and calling it out when they see it. Success is about them getting a paycheck and being able to say, I'm a journalist. I make 17 million a year, so I'm successful. No, you're not. You're a liar.
Here's the forbidden apple, right? Here's the compensation. Take a bite. Okay. It stems back to Adam and Eve. I mean, but everybody falls for the same shit. Right. Oh, I got a fancier car. I got a better house. I'm more successful than you. Get out of here.
Yeah. No, it's a scary concept because people learn it from a young age, and then they clamor all over each other like rats trying to escape from from an alligator. They don't care who they hurt trying to get out of there.
Yeah, no,
I saw a study one time. I don't know if you guys know about this study that NASA did. NASA was they were talking about trying to NASA, because you saw the story about the women that were the ones that figured out the three women that figured out the mathematics, those mathematical things for them to get to the moon and stuff. Incredible story. It's a movie now. The three African-American women. Actually, you know what? Let me correct that. I've seen a lot of people of color. I've grown up with them all my life. They are not all African Americans, so that is literally a wrong term. They are black. They are proud and they are black, and that's what they should call themselves. They're not actually, if you want to talk about colors, they're not actually black, but they are. Smokey Robinson did an incredible poem one time about saying, "I'm not African American. The people that are from Haiti, they're not African American. People from all over the world that are from different places, they're black and they're proud, and that's what they should be." So the three black women that did the math for NASA, they were incredible. It's an incredible movie. You should watch it. And And so NASA was trying to find geniuses. They wanted to find geniuses that could come and work for NASA. So they started, and this is a study, you can look it up. They started looking at kids in school, and they were like, wow, okay, so if we start recruiting children when they're pretty young, or start getting them, in shape for joining NASA, we can start when they're in kindergarten. So they must get smarter. No, they went on to second grade, fifth grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, and it literally went progressively worse and worse. And they said by the time these kids got to high school, they gave up on them, and they stopped trying to recruit these kids. They stopped trying to recruit kids that went through the basic education system of America. What an indictment of the education that we've all got.
Right.
And so that just goes back to the whole thing about, we aren't taught to be creative, living, soulful people. We are taught to be that rat that tries to climb over everybody else to get success.
Right.
Not everybody does that. I'm not saying that everybody does that. I'm saying the general sort of overview of society, Wall Street, banks, riches, fame, all that kind of stuff. It's all that's
it's programming is what it is. It's
Yeah.
programming. You can call it what you want. And I've talked about this many, many, many times is you get out your pen, you get out your paper, you write your script for life, you live it. But if you go by everyone else's script for life, okay, that's not for your benefit. That's for their benefit. And so if you follow your own, all of a sudden you can find happiness, you can find health, you can find good people, you can find spirituality,
right.
You can find all the good things in life, you can find success, which isn't the success that they're trying to sell to you. But if you go through the program that we're all taught, this is what we got to do. We got to have kids, and we have to put them in this school, and we have to all of this stuff, but then they've been programmed, and now to try and deprogram your kids. Once the school system and all these other systems have screwed them up, and you see these people as adults, right? They're all screwed up. So if they can disconnect from the programming, okay? If they can turn on a freaking radio, put on a disc, go to a concert, listen to some music, dance, move around, listen to the lyrics, get some message, get inspired, maybe they can start doing good again.
Well, and you see what's happening. I don't think they're ever going to do good with sort of this conventionalized or government owned education. That's how they're done. But you see what they're doing now. This is the thing. So we're on a show that's straight up no bullshit. We're talking about truth. So homeschooling is becoming huge because of these, because of the gender cult, because of the whole, the strange, just how strange
Censorship.
education has become. Yeah. And so now homeschooling is becoming huge. So what does the government do? They can't have that. So they start trying to, in several states, they've tried to outlaw or change the laws around homeschooling. And in other states, they've made it, so what they've tried to do is make it just really difficult to do homeschooling, because if your kid's not in the government school, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. There's going to be fines, possibly. So this is how and it's the same kind of thing as like right now trying to, I don't know if you guys saw there are farmers fighting this. They're trying to put an RFID chip in all of the beef across. Why? Because they want it. That's their way of having control. If they, I don't even know who the people are that work in the USDA, the people that work in the FDA. Who are these monsters? Right. You really think would you go talk to somebody who works for the FDA that's been shutting down these farms and outlawing raw milk and all these, literally, do you really believe that you are protecting us? I don't think so. I think you're a jackboot thug who doesn't, or you are completely oblivious to what is actually going on. Because if you were a decent human being who wanted the rights of American people, you would not work for the FDA shutting down farms left and right. Did you hear about the water shut off in Idaho? They shut off the water to like 4.8 million acres. Wow. And the farmers there are like, we can't raise our crops without this water. Who would do that to a bunch of farmers? Why would you do that?
Right.
It's called cultural destruction. Okay. All the things that are created out there, okay, are created not for our benefit, right? They're created to destroy us, but to make us dependent, okay? And that's why we all have to come up with our own ways of thinking and our own ways of doing. And we need to get out from underneath control and get into control of our own. We need to be in control of our own. We need to be accountable for what we do. We can't blame others. It's us. It's not anyone else.
Well,
it's us.
We don't need the government. We don't need the government anymore. They are the ones that are wrecking everything.
Right. Correct.
It's the problem. Right.
So, what you just said there, obviously you're a truth seeker. So I know that wasn't always the case. You were somewhat of more of a moderate. Some might even say a left-leaning moderate.
Yeah.
What led you to become a patriotic constitutionalist, as you call yourself? How did you navigate the intersection between politics and music and truth and what's going on in this world?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing that I believe especially recently, it wasn't that difficult. Probably started, about 10 years ago, just questioning things. But just recently, because of what's going on, it hasn't been that difficult. But let's not forget, I married a goddess. And she woke me up to some stuff, just like, you brought your daughter, went to the Waldorf school because we both began to realize that what they were going to learn in conventional school, they were going to come out dummies, which so many of them do. Yep. And they don't even realize it. They don't even, how do you I used to have a friend that would say, it's so funny that when you call somebody an idiot, when you say to them, quit being an idiot. How do you tell an idiot to quit being an idiot? He's going to be an idiot, So they get out of schools and they know nothing, and especially what's going on with college. So it started, and then looking at things that were happening medically. We had some friends that had very minor, and my beautiful wife Candace has helped me see this. We had some friends that had some pretty minor medical situations, went into the hospital and didn't come out.
Right.
And that once that happened a few times, I started going, so wait a minute, how did that happen? And then of course, what just happened over the last 3 or 4 years with the whole COVID thing, get out of here, man. Are you kidding me? Just, people that just lined up to get a okay. People were trying to do the right thing. I get that. But this goes right back to education. Right. You got out of high school and you got out of college. You're that stupid that when someone said, oh my God, there's an awful bug coming and it's killing everybody. Here, we just made this. We just made it. It took us 6 months. We just made it. Take it. We're telling you, take it. And you didn't even go look at the trials or any of the studies to see what if you didn't do that, I don't want to call you a dummy, but dude, it's like the trials were a disaster. Go to the CDC site and look for yourself. That's what you learned in school. That's what school was for.
Self accountability, Kevin. It's self accountability.
School was trying to give what education was for is to make you be able to have a brain that says, okay, they are now telling me to take this thing. I have no idea what it is, so I'm going to look it up. Simple as that. Just look it up. But they didn't. And now a lot of people are suffering, and I can't even believe there's so many people still today who are trying to deny the data that's coming out. I don't know if you guys heard this. The ex-health minister of Japan has now apologized to the entire country of Japan for the amount of damage that is now happening, and they've got their vaccine completely off the market. But can you imagine the prime minister of Japan apologizing to the entire – I'm sorry, not the prime minister, the ex-health minister. I want to be clear about that. I don't think the prime minister has apologized, but the ex-health minister apologizing to an entire country for what we just did to you.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's like there are people that you call, have vaccine regret, right? They took the vaccine and they regret it. Now, whether they did it under duress, because, their job told them to do, or they're going to get fired, or you couldn't go to school if you didn't take it, or whatever it was. Or maybe they were just trying to be good citizens and they thought they believed the government. They believed all the bullshit that we were being spoon fed, that they were just trying to be good citizens and do the right thing. But then you got other people that just are downright assholes about it. But you'll never find somebody that was not vaxxed that has regret. But the other way around, you will find people that that have huge regret because of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Point. There's nobody that's unvaxxed that was like, wow, I wish I would have got vaxxed.
Exactly.
I'd be so protected now.
No, but it goes back to the pen and the paper, right? Like you write it down. If it's not on there, you're not going to be doing it. That doesn't make any sense to me. No. And if they say, you know what, Kevin, we pay you $250,000, and you're going to lose your job if you don't take the shot, right? Like most people are going to say they're going to take the money. All right, we got to have the money, right? A lot of people's lifestyles are built on the $250,000 that the guy's going to pay him. Where me personally, I'd be like, take your $250,000 and stick it where the sun don't shine, because why has anybody got the right to tell me what to do? And so it goes back to writing down what it is that you want in life, okay? And what I want to do is I want to make decisions for me. I don't want other people making decisions for me.
I can't believe so many people didn't think what happened, and to take it just a little farther down, because I agree with you 100%. But I mean, I still have acquaintances and friends that are saying, I believe in the science. I believe in the science. And it's like, if you read the studies were the science, don't you?
Right.
You know what? Let me ask you something. Pfizer has been in court over a dozen times for fraud, for injury, and for bribing officials over a dozen times, including the largest lawsuit in United States history at that point. Where is the science in that? Where?
I got one for you. I got one for you, Kevin. Poetry in Motion by Robert Daltrey. What did she blind him with?
Yeah,
Science.
no, Robert. Yeah,
she blinded me.
Dolby.
Who was it?
No. Poetry in Motion was Dolby.
Poetry in Motion. She blinded me with science. Right? Same thing.
Thomas Dolby.
Same thing. They blinded him with science. It's all bullshit.
Yes, and that's the scary thing, because science is great. I believe in science until you start reading how they come to the conclusions and then tell you this is science. They had no right to do that. But what we had to, because what you were talking about, write it down on paper. I get that, but I have a lot of people. I have a lot of friends, and they're and even family members. I love them, but they don't. They literally think that there's no such thing as propaganda. They literally think there's no such thing. And Pfizer has been in so much trouble. Why does the United States sign a contract with Pfizer, a company talk about corruption? They signed a contract to get this thing out to everybody. They signed a contract with a company that has had the biggest injury fraud lawsuit in history. What kind of politicians who did that?
Does that make sense?
It's like, and you guys are saying that you care for our health so much. By the way, chemotherapy's not free, but boy, they don't want you to get COVID because they care about you so much. All the people that are dying of cancer, if your insurance doesn't cover it, good luck. Too bad.
Right.
However, we are so interested in making sure you don't die from COVID because we care about you so much. Well, what about the studies? Oh, well, don't worry. Don't do your own research. Remember when they started saying that? Yeah. They literally started saying, don't do your own research. What? Wow.
My theory is you follow the money, right?
All the time.
And just do a little bit of research and look up who was the biggest investors, okay, in those vaccines, and who made the most amount of money. And when you see who that was, okay, you're going to shit your pants. Because guess what? It wasn't just some guy.
It was all politicians.
Okay? No, it was basically our government.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah, no, that was the thing. When people start arguing with me and they go, oh, the guy that's the anti-vaxxer, is like Del Bigtree. He's just trying to make money off of fear. What?
How?
Do you understand that Pfizer, when the COVID thing came out, it was the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. In the history of the world, the biggest transfer of wealth. Who do you think is making money? And you're blaming this little guy who says, I don't trust the vaccine. Oh, he's just trying to make money on fear because he's not believing the science. When the pharmaceutical companies had the opioid crisis and 500,000 people died, and it took the FDA 20 years to stop them, 20 years before they went, gosh, there's a lot of people dying from these opioids. Where was the science? Well, in court, they found out the science was fudged. And still they made billions of dollars. A whole shit ton of people died and they got fined. That's what science gives us when you just believe in the science. That's what science gives us.
Well,
you know what else is science? A lot of people dead. That's a lot of people dead. And the data is rolling out. I actually, Ed Dowd, if you ever hear of Ed Dowd, he used to work for Homeland Security. He used to work for BlackRock, and he developed a conscience, and now he does data, and he's like the data on the adverse reactions and death. That's the scary part, is the death. It's coming, and there's going to be no way to run from it pretty soon. It is coming. Right. It's coming hard. And these people
are dropping that left and right.
You know what? That's right. And my son said the greatest thing when a lot of his friends got the jab. Some of them had some problems. Some of them had their parents have big problems and other stuff. But they finally came back to Shane, and they were like, my son, and they said, why didn't you get it? Well, he said, and Shane said, look, here's all I'm trying to tell you is I didn't trust them at first. But that's because I looked at some of the facts. And so he said, look, you guys got to understand this as young people. Either I am smarter than all the other doctors because I told you this was going to happen, or you were lied to.
Right.
Now, if you want to go ahead and believe I'm smarter than all the doctors in the United States, I'll take it, but I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. And I don't know if you've seen some of these doctors that are coming out and showing the regret. I saw one doctor, the guy looked so sad, and he was like, I am so sorry for all my patients, because I told them I was getting my information from higher up. They were telling me, you give people this vaccine, you talk them into it, and now he feels awful because a couple of them died. And he's got all kinds of people having problems, and he feels horrible about it. And it's not even that I won't even go so far as to say that the guys are working in the Pfizer laboratories. Are these people evil? No, they're trying to make a good thing. But but then what happens is they make something, the guys in the laboratory make something, the higher ups go, hey, if we've got a vaccine that will cure COVID, we're going to make billions of dollars. Yeah, but we're not done testing it yet. No, that doesn't matter. Let's get it out there. Right. COVID's happening now. We can't wait another year. Let's get it out there. Those are the guys that are it's always about like you said, it's always about the money.
Power, money, and control. It's all about
so
power,
it's not about the scientists so much as it is about the money. And even scientists, if we shift to climate change, there are so many climate change scientists that are saying this is all bull crap. It's all based on models.
Right.
But they are never given a platform because it's not the narrative.
Right.
And so you got all these people out there, especially all these young dummies that are like, I am being told that there's climate change and it's a danger. That is all I am going to believe. You can't make me believe anything else. Okay, well, what about these what about these tens of thousands of scientists who are saying that all of that's untrue and there's a few other ways to look at it? No, I only look at it the way I was told in college or by the news. The news says there's climate change, end of story. Don't want to talk about it. Hold up the hand, talk to the hand. Climate change is happening. That's not the way science is done. It's not the way it's done.
It's not done. And you know what? It's interesting because that leads us kind of to our next topic, which is the danger of censorship that's going on. Because even during COVID, people were speaking out, but guess what? The government was having Facebook and Twitter at the time, and all these platforms censor their platforms. And so censorship has become an amazing issue. And they're trying to silence. They're trying to nullify the First Amendment, which is our right to free speech.
Right.
I have the right to my opinion, and you cannot deny me that right. But they're doing it. So, what are your thoughts on that? And
well, I am very disappointed in the people on the left that think that this government and especially this administration is all about America and all about patriotism. They are clearly not. Right. Because they censor anything. If you try and say anything about the clear evidence that the election was messed with, I'm not even saying it was stolen, but it was clearly messed with, but They don't even want to hear that. Arizona is this close to decertifying the election because they have found out about, but they don't even want to look at that evidence. They just say, shut up. And so YouTube, Facebook, you talk about anything that has to do with the jab, anything with the election interference, anything that has to do with the gender cult. You say anything at all and you're gone. Right. Because it's hate speech. And censorship is not the first time I saw censorship, as you know this, Markus. Don, I met my wife, 30 something years ago, and she had a natural food store, and the FDA came in. I'm pretty sure, I don't think it was the USDA. Somebody came in and they said, we are confiscating all of this, fill in the blank supplement off the shelf because it actually works. And so that was the first time I had my eyes open to how the government, controls. And then from there, I started hearing about the raw milk farms. FDA or USDA guys, who are these guys? Who are they? How do you not, have a conscience about that? Like you literally are just taking.
Well, they scare you. They scare you things saying, well, if you don't pasteurize it, you don't homogenize it, you're going to get people sick.
I'm talking about the people that work for the USDA. What kind of conscience do they have to go? Because I heard these stories firsthand, because some of the natural food stores used to deal with raw milk and some of the other stuff. And the way these farms get shut down by these guys that come in with their guns drawn, and they take all the computers and they destroy these people's lives because they were making raw milk. That's why you're destroying them. And I don't know, Markus, you remember this. I went up to that conference in Wisconsin, and there was a lawyer up there talking to, and this lady was I felt so sorry. She was so jaded because she's like, you can't, there's a dairy industry and they lobby, and the dairy industry lobbies, and they're the ones, they just keep saying that raw milk is bad for you. And as long as they can keep saying that, and they keep putting up this little thing with the science, see, raw milk does this, raw milk is incredible.
Right.
Raw milk is incredible, but it's illegal in like 40 states or something like that. Now it is growing. I'm glad to see that there are a lot of states that are starting to go, no, people can have raw milk if they want it, but how insane to have a government that says they care so much about your health, but all these people are still dying, and there's so many homeless people, and there's so many single moms living in shelters, and there's all this stuff going on, but they care so much about you getting raw milk that they will literally shut down these farms and destroy these people's lives because they care so much that you don't get raw milk because it may hurt you in some way. What kind of bullshit is that? And so quit telling me that you can. FDA, quit telling me you care. You've been caught so many times with, in corruption. USDA, quit telling me you care. You don't care what's in meat. You don't care. They've shut. One time we had to talk about like music and stuff and how you learn things. We had a concert down in Arkansas. We were coming back. We decided to stop the whole band and all of our wives and everything. We started to do it. Like we decided to go check out one of the caves, and I can't remember which cave it was. And the guy that was giving us the tour, nicest guy in the world, young guy. We were like, he was so funny. We finally asked him, how'd you get this job? Well, I just applied, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I couldn't work where I was working anymore. And he said, where were you working? And he said, I was working at Tyson Chicken. And I was like, well, why couldn't you work there anymore? You said, oh my God. He goes, do you know where you get your bologna from? Do you know where Oscar? He said the Oscar buyer.
It has a first name.
He said this stuff would just get shoved. All the extra crap, the skin, everything, the lips, the thing, everything they chopped off, it would just go into this big greasy dumpster. And once a week, these meat companies would come and pick them up. And he said that's being processed into your meat. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some safety standards, but what I am saying is they don't care. No, they don't.
It's all about the bottom line. It's all about profit and how we can win. So I know you have a lot of passions, and you're helping to kind of wake people up and share the truth. You talk about this awakening. There's a lot of positivity. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on. There's no question that we're living in just crazy, unprecedented times. All kinds of crises, challenges, the border, transism, all that kind of stuff. But with this huge awakening, there's a huge movement going on right now. There is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I think there's an awakening happening right now. It's frustrating. There's parts of it that are very disappointing, but there is awakening going on right now. Probably reminiscent of the dawning of it's the age of Aquarius. I mean, people are waking up to the fact that we have been lied to on almost every level. We are still being lied to. You cannot literally, it is like, for one example, to look the American people in the face and say, and everything is fine. We're doing great. We're like the stuff that's happening at the southern border to try and pretend like we're so virtuous because we're letting in all these people, these poor people that are coming from everywhere else. Yes, we do want to do that. If you're a humanitarian, you want to let people in from other countries and give them care. That is not what is happening. What is happening down there at the southern border is the opposite of care. It is people who do not care. Terry Rodas was right there in the congressional hearings saying that she was hired. They've lost 85. By now, it's probably 90,000 kids. They have no idea where they are. That is ruthless barbarianism. That is not virtuism, okay, Mrs. Cortez? That is not. There's a way to do it, and there's the way to not do it. This is the way to not do it. Correct. It is barbaric. It was barbaric what has happened. The cartels. If you saw Dr. Phil interviewing the something you'll probably never see on regular news. Dr. Phil was down there interviewing the border guards. These guys were saying the cartels run everything. They can't even do anything. And as a matter of fact, when you have a state of Texas who says we can't handle this, we don't have the resources to handle this, so we're going to put up barbed wire, the federal government comes in and says you can't do that. We're the federal government, and we're saying you cannot close your borders. That is totalitarianism.
Right.
That is what that is. That is tyrannism. That is tyranny. That is the federal government saying to a state, you're going to do what we're going to tell you to do.
Treason.
That is not a democracy. That is not a democracy. So stop telling me the Biden administration is a democracy. They literally are telling states what they can and cannot do and letting the invasion continue, which is insane.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about something you were talking about earlier but in my words, okay, I think we're in the day and age of the ultimate reversal, okay? Everything that is deemed good for you is bad for you, and everything that's bad for you is deemed as good for you. So it's the ultimate reversal. So you could take all of the things that you're talking about, everything, okay, and just look at it and just say it's been reversed on us. This is good for you and this is bad for you, right? And if you really look, like you said, the raw milk, the supplements in your fiance's store that was good for, that's bad for you. So, vaccines, whatever. Yeah, border crisis, you name it. Yeah, that's done for us. No, as soon as you understand, because I'm a very simple guy. You put it at a very simplistic level and understand that if it's forced on your throat that this is what's good for you, it's bad. It's probably bad for you, and the opposite. And I think that if we all just put it into a more of a simplistic state rather than getting all caught up in these details of all these different crises, because there's all kinds of shit going on that nobody can get their arms around. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they don't want us to survive at a good level. Okay, they want us to be controlled. And if you understand it and just put it in a very simplistic mindset that the only one looking out for your betterment is you, okay? And when you do that, you're going to have the people in your life that are going to be also looking out for their betterment, which is going to make your life better. So it's really about pre-qualifying the people that are in your life, okay? Pre-qualifying the things that you're allowing to happen to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a really good place that you're in music, because I think if you could start putting some of that simplicity, that simplistic thought into your some of your vocals, I think it would help people understand it at a much deeper level, because I think people are typically simplistic creatures.
Well, I agree with all that. And I think that on top of that, as simple as we are, we need to take the power of how this country is run. It has to be given back to the people, because right now we have an unbelievably abusive relationship with the government. It is like having an evil stepfather who is like, there's no way. We have an obesity problem in this country that is, and diabetes that is just off the charts. That's the food supply.
Yeah.
Because they don't care. But then when they try and say that they're so virtuous because they're letting all these people in at the southern border, while we have so many homeless vets and an obesity problem and the food processing, it's incredible that they keep on trying to say that they care about us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the part that's disheartening. But I know that there's a lot of freedom fighters out there, a lot of patriots that are fighting for to get the truth out there, to help the Great Awakening. I mean, you got people like Tulsi Gabbard, who was a staunch Democrat, who's now a Republican. I'm not trying to say left or right or Republican Democrat, but she's gotten away from the lies to the truth.
Right.
And that's what it is.
Right.
It's not about black and white, left and right. It's about what is true and what isn't true. What's truth and what's a lie.
Yeah. And I just want to say one thing. I'm actually, I can go so far as to say that I'm surprised Tulsi Gabbard was ever even a Democrat. I get it, but I, listen, man, if people did their research, just, Don, you say you're a simple man. I love that. That's what we, that's why everybody loves the Leonard Skinner song. Just be a simple man. And I'm okay with, people that have over the top emotional IQ, or people that have, intelligence, that have tons of wisdom and tons of life experience, and they've flown around the world and they've seen how the other half lives. That's okay too. But you cannot deny that like when I was young, I was growing up in the blues. I had a lot of black friends, and Biden was a piece of shit back then. He was a racist. He was a segregationist.
Right.
He clearly lies he's a serial liar. He's got so many things going against him that I would have loved to have given Obama a chance. I'm glad I didn't now, but I might have voted for Obama, except that he picked Joe Biden, somebody I already couldn't stand, because he read the eulogy at one of the biggest KKK members, funeral, talking about what a great guy this dude was, talking about his mentor was Senator Byrd. Anybody who's a Democrat, if you are not, you are not real. You're not real if you don't condemn Joe Biden for being what he is, because he's always been that. And isn't it weird that in the debates, Kamala Harris was the only one that brought it up, and look who ends up his vice president. So she is not real either. She is disingenuous, because she knows that what she was saying in the debates about Joe is true. She knows that it's true. But when she was offered the job, she was like, forget all that. And when she was interviewed about it later, she just laughed and said, oh, it was a debate. It was a debate. It wasn't a debate. You were talking to a person who is a straight up segregationist, racist for most of his life. Right. That doesn't even talk about all the other things, like he lied about marching in the civil rights and all this other kind of stuff. He's a straight up lying piece of crap, and everybody knows it. And there's somebody like Tulsi Gabbard. I wouldn't even have joined the Democratic Party. I could never join the Democratic Party because I already knew. But when Biden was the vice president, I knew that. Are you not paying attention, people? Okay, so if you're a simple man, that's fine, but do your research and find out about these people, because he's an ugly human being. Right. He's an ugly human being.
Without a doubt. And for Tulsi's defense, I think it had to do with Hawaii, because Hawaii was so much, they protect the environment there, which justifiably, I mean, you can't, they've banned chemtrails from flying over Hawaii. I mean, that's how staunch they're against it. So being that, she was very much in the environment, that back then that was a more democratic or left-leaning way to do it. Now they've all gone nuts. And so she's woken up just like you've woken up, just like so many people have woken up, that, hey, you know what? It's about truth. It's not about the lies. Yeah. Because the left is all about the lies.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say anything bad against Tulsi. But I'm just surprised, because she's very smart. She's very smart. And so,
but even smart people get lied to.
Yes.
Even smart people get sold a bowl of bullshit, and they buy into it. So let me ask you a question. On as far as artists go, do you find that I would think there's a lot of artists that feel pressure to conform or to compromise their beliefs in order to appeal to a wider audience and have that success? How have you found it to stay true, and have there been any challenges for you while staying true to your message and your music and what you're doing?
I think, Don, I'll answer this, and I want to hear what you were going to say, but I am actually shocked at the amount of musicians, and including some of the people that I know around, Chicago, that I have a lot of respect for, because they're great musicians. In the 70s, just like Don was saying about reggae, music in the 70s was anti-establishment.
Right.
They were trying to say that you are bulldozing us over and using us as bowling pins, and we don't want to put up with it anymore.
Right.
And it was a huge, what can you call it? You could so many things. It was a revival. It was a protest. There were protest songs galore saying, we're not going to join your war. We're sick of you guys. And to come this many, to have grown up in the 70s, to come this many years forward,
right,
and see all these musicians and all these bands that are literally for the establishment. They're literally fighting for it. They're fighting for Biden. They're fighting for Biden.
Money.
But
money.
It's not always money, Don, because I'm talking about local cats as well. I'm talking about people that music is not their, they are in very well-established bands, but being a musician is not necessarily their first, income. They have jobs and stuff like that. What are they looking at? What are you not seeing about the way that, listen, when I grew up, and so Markus, at the beginning of the program, you said that I might have had more, central left leaning. Yes, right. I was. If left leaning means that you don't want war, I don't want war. I used to go to Skokie and throw shit at the Nazis that were marching through Skokie. I used to go to the Vietnam things and say, screw you. We don't want to go to war. Less killing is a good thing.
Right.
And here we are this far into the future, and the Biden administration is giving billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, where there's nothing but slaughtering going on. Billions of dollars to Israel, and I'm not even saying I'm going to take sides. I'm just saying the lead that goes. I said this before. John Lennon said this in the 70s. The leaders of the world are psychopaths. How are we not coming to trying to figure out some way as adults to not have war instead of what you were saying before, Don, programming. How is it okay what Israel is doing to Gaza? How is it okay what Gaza was doing to Israel? How is it okay what Russia's doing to Ukraine, what Ukraine's doing to Russia? There's nothing okay about it. But I will say this, the one thing to not do about it is keep arming one side so they can keep on slaughtering.
Right.
What kind of answer is that? But there's a whole bunch of money in that because all the military, industrial complex that we were warned about, they're making millions hand over fist.
Slush fund.
Oh my God. The amount of money, how does the Biden administration, the embarrassment of this, like if you're talking to somebody who's all for the Biden administration, on the same day that they gave $700 to every family, not every member, but just the family.
Right.
They gave $700 to everybody who lost everything in the Hawaiian fires. On that same day, gave like $80 billion to Ukraine.
Right.
How is that not an embarrassing, incompetent, insubordinate, just complete insult? Complete insult to the human race.
Well, because people were trying to get the property from the people in Hawaii. That's why.
I understand
it's all
that
sham.
part. Yeah.
It's all a sham. But hey, I want to get back to one thing that's been bugging me since we've been talking. When I talked about simple man, I want to clarify something. Simple man by no means means dumb, not intelligent. Doesn't mean that they have no experience. It doesn't mean that they have no wisdom. As a matter of fact, they see things through a simplistic scope. So they actually have like wisdom, experience, and intelligence way beyond somebody that thinks on a very complex level. So what I'm saying is, when I speak of a simple man is usually very wise, is usually very intelligent, is very capable of survival. Okay, they're going to survive the storm no matter what. Okay, these complex creatures out there are going to die when the smartphone dies or the EMF comes and takes the power out. They're going to be done. Okay, yeah, you got a PhD in this and that. Yeah, are you intelligent? What you are is you're very complex. Yeah. A simple man, I believe, is the powerful man.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Because what do you think God is? God is the ultimate in simple man.
Yeah. So yes, a simple man as opposed to a man with IQ. The danger between those two things, a simple man, like to me, a simple man is a farmer. They always are wise as hell. They always know everything. They know what's going on with the weather. They know what's going on with everything. They know how to raise a family. The people with IQ are the people that are professors at our colleges right now. Those people are dangerous as hell.
Yep.
Not that you shouldn't have an IQ, but when you call yourself an intellect and you're teaching our kids, have you seen the interviews with these college campus people that are cheering for Hamas and cheering for, Gaza and saying, Israel deserved it and all this kind of stuff? Then they go out and they interview them and they say, do you like, they went out and interviewed the people that were saying gays for Gaza. They were like, do you want like, it was a gay guy doing the interview. He's like, do you understand that if I went to that place, I would be killed.
Right.
Or put in jail or something. And they were like, wait, what? Like, how, what kind of professor do you have when they ask, do you know what from the river to the sea means? Do you know what that means? I figure it means there's a river and a sea there.
Yeah. They don't get
so
it.
what kind of,
Who do you think
so
came
you
up
are
with?
at a college? You are literally a college graduate. You're coming out of a college and you don't even know what stuff means. What does that say about your professor who pretends to be the wise man with the IQ? He's an idiot.
IQ. Who came up with the IQ test, right?
Right.
Come on. Just like all these books, just like when you talk about history books, the history books have all been rewritten.
Right.
It has nothing to do with history. Yeah. It's got to do with what they want.
History is written by those that win the war.
Yeah. I'm all for the simple man. I don't know if you thought I was saying something, but when I say IQ guy, there's Saul Alinsky's, Sam Harris, these guys that are real thinkers. Those guys are cool too, if that's what you want to be. But those guys would both Saul Alinsky and Sam Harris, as genius as they are, would be lost on a farm.
Right.
They wouldn't know where, they wouldn't even, wait, there's something under my fingernails. Yeah, it's called dirt. Oh, that's what that is? Oh, all right.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, that's it.
So Kevin, in your opinion, what role should musicians play in advocating for social and political change? I mean, can you share some examples of artists that have successfully used their platform in that way?
I think that I can't think of any bands specifically that are out there trying to, I can't believe, listen, man, with all the things that are going on, for the left, for the people on the left who have made a big deal about Jason Aldean's song about what would happen in a small town,
right?
That what part of that is not okay? I mean, there's no part of him being ripped apart for that song is okay. No part of it. You are oblivious and ignorant and arrogant if you believe that a country star should not be able to write a song about the things that he's living through in his life and the things that he believes. Who do you think? So you're literally trying to tell me that you want to rip on Jason Aldean for writing a song about, hey, don't try something crazy in a small town because we take care of our children. That's just the truth. That is the truth of everything. I live in a small town. If I saw somebody getting hurt, I would do something. Do something. I'd run them over with my car if they were doing something really bad. That's just the way it is. By the same token, you have no outrage about what they're saying in some of these rap tunes. Right. No outrage whatsoever. They're incredibly offensive to the point of like they should be almost X-rated.
Some of them are.
Some of them are, but some of them they do on the Grammys at 8 o'clock on a Sunday. And they still get to what's her face who did oh man, I can't remember. The rap song that was like
wet ass pussy.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Come on. Jason Aldean's the problem?
Right, exactly. But there are people, artists. I mean, Ted Nugent and Three Doors Down. I mean, they just had that. I think it was Freedom Fest or Patriot Fest. I forget they just had that in Illinois. So there are quite a few musicians that are speaking up. But you're right. It's unfortunately it's a minority of them. Well,
and I don't want to get out on stage and be political so much as I would like to spread like what Don was talking about with reggae. I would rather send a message that allows people to wake up for themselves instead of trying to get out there and say, hey, I'm a patriot and you need to think this way. I don't mind if other people do it. And as a matter of fact, if I could have gone to that concert, I would have. but I am total. Don, reggae has woken up a lot of people in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Reggae, especially, with Bob Marley. I looked up his death. It's very suspicious once again. And so is John Lennon's.
Yeah.
These are guys that were spreading a message of love and peace. And somebody, it's the possibility exists that somebody said, this guy's got too many followers. We don't want love and peace. Take him out. I don't know, but the weird thing,
love,
the connection,
peace, and truth too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't have too much of that. And so I'm going to switch gears real quick here. You talk about, you really want to spread the good things and not the bad things. And I don't know if this is the person, but I believe it was Mother Teresa. She said, be pro something, not anti something. Okay. So being pro something is more on the positive side of things, right? Being anti is more on the negative side of things. So I think that if you support what it is that you believe in, or even talk about, right? If you talk about what you see as good instead of what you see as bad, I think what it does is it unveils the bad. Yeah. So you don't have to go into the negative connotation to undermine what's bad. What you do is you just stay on the positive side of things, and it will unveil all the negative shit underneath. And that I think that'll make your music a lot more uplifting too. Not that I really know all of your songs in that, but
well, if you came out more often, you might. I'm kidding.
I know. I'm not a big social guy anymore. I'm just not.
You're not a socialist anymore.
No. So I don't get out that much.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And I was just kidding, but you are correct. And it is, and that part does get confusing sometimes because for one thing, one of the things that I am very pissed off about is the thing I brought up before. I am very angry about the fact that it is not recognized that Joe Biden's entire career he has been a racist. That is one of my biggest. When I was young, my parents taught me to be colorblind. I could not believe that that what happened to some of my hero, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, all the Lightning Hopkins, all these guys, they were my heroes, and they were Eric Clapton's heroes, and they were Stevie Ray Vaughan's heroes, and they were treated like shit. And guess who was right at the cusp, right there? Joe Biden was called the last Dixiecrat. The guy was literally in there treating these. So all these liberal white college students are going on. Did you see the demonstration lately with the bunch of people walking through like San Francisco or something? They were all yoked and chained with a black guy whipping them and making them move along.
Oh my God.
To try and show this thing. Well, guess what, you idiots? The guy that you voted for was in on that. He was in on that. Crime bill was just like that. And some of those black families are still suffering from some of the things. So I'm anti-racism. It's hard to think of the other word to say I'm pro, equality. Not necessarily. I'm anti-racism. When it comes to war is horrendous. I don't want any more money being sent to Ukraine. I want adults to figure out how to sit down and stop slaughtering each other, because damn well that is not what they're going to do. Because I don't know if you saw the interview with Lindsey Graham completely admitting that Ukraine has like trillions of dollars of resources, so they could be a great business partner if we could just get Russia out of there. That is not people that care for the human race. That is people that only care about a business partnership. That's that's somebody who's in Congress. It's a disgrace. So I am anti-war. So what do you say? I'm pro-peace, I guess. But that does not. So to your point, which I agree with, except that sometimes it doesn't get to the point to say that you're pro this or pro this instead of saying my wife was great. She was like, these people are saying you're anti-vax. She's like, I'm not anti-vax. I'm pro-health.
Right. In
that particular situation, it works great. But when it comes to war, of course I'm pro-peace. But to make it a little stronger, I am very, very stoutly anti-war.
Yeah.
There is a way to get around what is going on all over the planet without saying that what we have to do is go to war.
Right.
Here it is. Everybody, all these liberals defending Biden. The guy's got us on the threshold of world war in like 3 different places: China, Russia, and Israel. He's got us on the cusp of world war because his policies are so disastrous. Yet they're sticking up for him because Trump is the liar and he's the felon. Well, maybe he is. But that I don't care what you want to call Donald Trump when you're literally voting for a guy who's getting us into a possibility of World War III. Do not try and tell me this is a good man.
But yet he's not competent enough to stand trial for the crimes that he's committed.
Somehow he's not competent enough to stand trial.
But hey, we'll just brush that off to the side.
Talk about straight up no bullshit. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Let's send him a box of Pampers. Probably could use a couple.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So I know we
live in the strangest times.
Yeah, craziest, strangest times. But I do see there's. I mean, I watch a lot of podcasts. I don't listen to news myself either. However, there's so many people that are sharing the truth and waking people up and speaking. Shedding light on all these crazy atrocities and what's going on. That I do see us having a very bright future. So let's pull it full circle here. What advice would you give aspiring musicians who want to use their art to promote truth, freedom, and positive change in the world?
I would say I don't advise people. I wouldn't advise artists to try and have some kind of political message, if that's what you're asking. So no. Well, I think that you inspire the world by doing what it is. There however many people there are in the world, that's how many pieces of art there are. Every single person is a creative. And so do what it is that you do. But business-wise, I would say don't try and get a record deal. Don't go into that. The business of music is a nasty business. I think that it has been taken over by just bad people. Right. I might even step up and say evil people. They might look like they're all at these big shows, and these producers and these guys who are record companies, they look like they're at these parties being, I'm just trying to help these young artists. Look what's happening to P. Diddy now. Right. Look what is happening to that guy. Look at all those young artists. Some of them figured it out and left. Some of them didn't figure it out, and they ended up. And then that whole thing that happened with what was her face? Alina, the girl that died in the car crash. She was really young, and she was about. I believe that she was about to start talking about what had happened to her. And some of the things that happen, and then she ends up in a plane crash. I don't know.
How does that happen?
That could be a conspiracy theory, but I've heard enough interviews with musicians that have said that the music industry has just been overtaken by complete parasites. Yeah. So, but here's the thing about anybody who's doing their own music out there, young people that are doing their own music, do it all yourself. The social media thing has allowed you to get a business where you don't even need a record company anymore. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year putting out your music, touring around, selling your stuff. And then you can also join organizations that are working for pro peace if you want to. Yeah. So there's so many different ways to do it now. You can do fundraising over the internet. It's incredible what you can do. So you can run your whole business and you don't have to have a record company anymore. And I would, people like who's the young guy, who's the young kid that P. Diddy seems to have done some, the young kid, the guy that's famous.
Oh yeah, Justin Bieber.
Bieber. I mean, that guy, all he wanted to do was be a pop star. Well, look what happened to him. Yeah. Look what happened to him. If any of that stuff is true, what P. Diddy did to that kid, I mean, I don't know how much of it is true. I know that the whole thing with R. Kelly is true. These guys are not the people that we think they are. Right. And they get up there and they get into these positions of power. And, unfortunately, it is that old adage, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So,
well, it reminds me of, where I forget which actor it was that was talking about it. It's like, what? We're actors. We create stories. We tell fairy tales. We have no business telling you what to believe, what not to believe, or what platform you should be on, or which way you should vote, or that sort of thing. Leave that out of it. Inspire through your work, through your art. Inspire, and it's so true. It's like, I think the last piece of advice is that don't go down the crossroads. Don't make the deal with the devil. to get. I forget which bluesman that was. You can probably
Robert
tell me.
Johnson.
Robert Johnson. That's right, Robert Johnson. You know, don't go down the crossroads and sell your soul to the devil. You know, hopefully to become a rock star or a blues star. So
no, that's great advice, because that's what I know. It's metaphorically, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But even metaphorically, do not sign. You know, there's so many stories. Like, you know, watch the documentary about Creedence Clearwater and how they signed their lives away.
Right.
Even all the way up to the thing that happened with the Beatles, where, you know, Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney were not friends anymore because Michael Jackson bought up the entire Beatles library.
Right.
What a bizarre thing. It's like your music, but somehow it just becomes a sort of an asset. You know, it's like being traded on Wall Street because you're just a
commodity.
Thing.
You're just
You're
a commodity.
Just a commodity. Yeah. You no longer have all that matters is that you wrote songs that now have the worth that somebody can spend millions of dollars. Get it? Stop it.
Right. I agree. Well, this has been a great conversation. Don, was there anything more you wanted to add?
No,
okay.
No. I thought it was all good. I really like the message in music. I just, you know, I don't really know anything about music other than I listen to it. Right.
Yep.
I know it's uplifting.
That's
to
all
me.
you need to know.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those guys. We got to talk everything out. I'm okay with a good old fashioned fist fight. I'm not one of those little fruity guys like that. Okay.
Right.
But when I hear like positivity, like you're always reaching for that silver lining. Just for me, that's a little bit more inspirational than you know, beating down the same path that a lot of other people are going down. That's my only thought on music. But I understand your point too, Kevin. Is sometimes you have to make it apparent what's going on and what it is that you won't stand for.
Well, I love your message about, you know, which I think needs to be spread by more people than just musicians, deacons, Anthony Robbins. I don't care who it is. You got to tell people, you got to let them know.
Yeah.
Life does not consist of just bad stuff that happens. There's always a silver lining, always. But you have to know, if you don't have the tools to look for it, if somebody doesn't teach you how to look for the door that opened when that one closed, and it could even be bad things like death. You know, Markus will tell you my story. It was god awful. There was death involved, and there was shooting, and there was lots of crazy stuff. But you know what? Something always comes out on the other end. Even when you're going through the grieving of losing your some of your family, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. There's always a way to look at something positive. There's always a way.
Yeah.
And when you're not told that, you reach the depths of despair. Which I guess, you know, I don't want to go. If we're done, I don't want to keep going. But you guys both know the suicide rate is through the roof right now.
Right.
Through the roof. And as a matter of fact, I just heard a guy say it yesterday. The data shows even more so than COVID, there are more suicides because of the despondency over the supposed climate change.
Right.
Than anything else. Now, how is that a healthy thing?
Right.
Then to have your news every night talking about how everybody's got to have an EV and emissions, and we're going to do this, and we're going to make this law, and the world's going to end in 12 years.
Right.
Good job, AOC, telling the people that it's all going to end in 12 years. So you got a whole bunch of young people killing themselves because they can't face it.
Right.
Bizarre. Well, you know, and let's add on top of that, you know, the mental instability problem that we're having. I mean, these people they don't care about us. They don't.
Right.
If we only got 12 years, I say we kick it up a couple notches. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, let's live it up.
And the ironic thing of that, because I'm totally in agreement with you. There's only 12 years left, but she said that about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So
live like you're dying.
There's not a lot of brain cells in that thing.
No.
Well, you know, there's somebody who said live like you're dying. You know, because you know what, tomorrow's promised to nobody. But you don't want to be cause it for yourself, and so the suicide rate's crazy. So
yeah, right.
I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm glad we're helping shed the light. We're helping share truth. And
I love your show. I love the show. Straight up, no bullshit. Great name. Yeah,
thank you.
You guys are truth seekers and patriots. We got to keep it going.
We got to keep it going. Absolutely. Well,
keep it real.
I love. Do you ever watch Larry Elder? He ends every show with, "We've got a country to save."
That's right.
That's you guys all the way. It's wonderful.
There we go. I appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you. And appreciate all you've shared and a lot of the great golden nuggets you've shared with everyone. And I know our listeners and our viewers are going to really appreciate that. So we'll have you back on again. We'll have other deep things to talk about, I'm sure. Thanks again, my friend. And Don,
I'd love
thank
to do
you.
it. Yeah.
For
Okay.
sure. So
Yeah, Kevin, thank you for coming out today.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Markus. Excellent show. Keep the flame burning, baby.
Absolutely. And so, folks, if you like what you heard here today, please hit the subscribe button, like the channel, like the program, and more importantly, tell someone about it. Viewership is our currency. So if you can tell a few people, just like the VO5 commercial, tell two that tell two that tell two that tell two. If you can help us spread the word, that's going to help us make the world a much better place. So until next time, we'll see you on Straight Up No Bullshit. Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to the Straight Up No Bullshit, the Don Handston Show. We hope we enlightened you and expanded your perspectives with our bold and honest discussions about what might be holding you back from being your genuine self. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to the next episode. If you want to know more, go to straightupnobullshit.com. We'll see you next time.